Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats, folks, for your daily live updates. Get the most out of today's episode by participating in the chat. Make sure you ask some questions, be part of the conversation, have a bit of fun, grab a coffee or a tea, take some notes, and get ready to start your day, folks. Quick few housekeeping rules, though. No spamming, no advertising or self-promotion in the chat. That's not on. Be kind and respectful to everyone when participating. And most of all, have a good time. Real estate investing can be your biggest asset. It also can be your most expensive asset when it comes to getting it right or getting it wrong, folks. It can be time-consuming, stressful, and that's why here at Positive, we have what's called a 6-star team, a full-service team that provides integrated wealth and property investing solutions and services simply designed to help you progress towards your goal of passive income through your property portfolio, folks. Make sure you check out our other podcasts on the Positive Mentor Network. Not only is there Wealth Coffee Chats, there's the Urban Property Investor. Drops every Wednesday with straight talking investing strategies and lessons with Sam Saggers. Property Investor Tales. This is where our clients, you guys, share real life stories from property investing, hosted by some of our advisors and strategists. And that's done every fortnight, dropping every Monday. Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, folks, that debriefs the week that was in the world of finance and property, hosted by yours truly, Jason Witten and Andy Fenton on Fridays. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chats. Marvellous Monday. Hope you're well, folks, wherever you are. If you think it's Get Rich Quick, you're in the wrong place. This is the wrong podcast. This is the wrong live for you. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope you're all awesome and well. Hello. Good morning, folks. Just forgot my coffee. Had to run over and get it. Good morning. Welcome to Wealth Coffee Chats. Good to see a couple of the early birds up and at it already. Thank you for joining. Welcome along. I'll do the quick intros and formalities as we get the day started. Marvellous Monday. Happy December, folks. Did you get your Christmas tree up? Yeah, we spent last night putting up the Christmas tree. 1st of December. Is that, I don't know, is that meant to be the way it is? Anyway, that's what happened in our family. For those who don't know, Jason Witten's my name. Most of you do know that though, but if you don't, then welcome. Been a property investor now, sort of 22 plus years, maybe a little bit longer than that. Anyway, I keep forgetting how many years it is. Over 20 years, helping out investors across Australia and New Zealand as well. Buy a fair few properties, folks. And along the way, learnt one or two things. And what we love to do each morning here on Wealth Coffee Chats is share a little bit of that wisdom that we've learnt, helping our clients and ourselves buy a fair few property deals around this country. A few of the details of going the distance, making sure you can build a property portfolio and get to the end of whatever goal or destination you're trying to achieve. Anyway, so that's what we're doing here in the mornings, usually about 10 past 8 Queensland time. Wherever else you are in this wonderful world, you'll work it out, but there you go. Big thanks and welcome to those who are listening to it on the replay. I have heard a fair few of you can't make the lives, but you get a chance to listen afterwards. So listen or watch, where you can subscribe or download on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook. I don't know. I'm sure it goes somewhere else as well. But anyway, if that's you, thanks for joining us wherever you are, whatever time it is. There you go. We try and sort out a bit of fear from fact, folks. Bit of fear from fact, talking about what's going on in the world of property investing. Hopefully keep you on track to go the distance. That's it. That's the intros. Anyway, what do I want to talk about today? I thought there was an interesting article come out. And play along in the chat if you're at home there. Let us know. Say hello anyway in the chat. Give us a shout out. Let us know where you're coming from. But yeah, an interesting article that came out talking about the decrease in property owners and property investors. Now, what do you reckon these two numbers are, folks? Put these, have a little crack in the chat. this first set of numbers here, since 2014, there's been a decrease of from 21% to 19%. 21% to 19%. What's the decrease there? And since 2000, this is pretty drastic. Since the year 2000, a decrease of 33% to 25%. 25%, according to some statistics for us to talk about this morning. Well, let's talk about the first one, which is the drop in what type of investor. What's this stat talking about? Some of you have seen this before, and we'll talk through it just quickly. Now, the population of Australia. Now, I think these figures are probably from a few years ago, but of recent times, it's gone down rather than gone up. The population of Australia as a percentage of the Aussies, only 5% of the population owns one investment property. 5% of the whole population. When you go from one investment property to 6 investment properties, the percentage of Australians goes down to 0.08. Now, 0.08%, not quite sure how to say that in mathematical terms. I think it is 0.08%, or thereabouts. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's a small number of the 27 million people in Australia, 14,000, goes from 1.2 million to 14,000. Now, for you and I, when we talk about property investing here on Wealth Coffee Chats, and when we sit down with our clients, you guys, and talk about building a portfolio and how many properties it's going to take to get you from where you are to where you want to be, and certain amounts of debt reduction and certain amounts of asset accumulation, buying properties, buying investments, usually the numbers work out, folks, at about 4 to 5 investment properties, and kind of probably a little bit more, safer in those numbers, are usually between 5 and 7, right? 5 and 7. So, has that been getting easier or harder for the average Aussie to achieve? And when we look at these numbers here, so if we look at, all right, is the average Aussie achieving that? Well, since 2014, the answer's been no, right? It's been harder to get access to the lending. It's been harder to get access to the right properties. And since 2016-17, when the government and APRA, in all its wisdom, decided it was going to have an attack on the Australian lending landscape, we were in the top 5 safest lending practices in the world, and the average Aussie got access to lending in a reasonable way. We'd gotten through the GFC pretty well, nicely. There was a few challenges, but this is what's happened. And for me, being in the industry, this is a government problem as far as I'm concerned. They caused the issue when it came to the ability to borrow, right? But what's happening, folks? What's happening is the rich are getting richer. Those who had access to equity, those who had access to wealth, have skyrocketed in their wealth. And those who now couldn't get access to their wealth because of the changes in lending and restrictions really hurt the bottom half of the population economically and demographically. A disaster. As far as I'm concerned, that was a big mistake. When we'll lead to why this is a problem right now, and what you as a property investor need to sort of keep an eye on to make sure we don't miss out on the opportunities, though, as we go along. What's the other one? 33% to 25%. This is the millennials, folks. Young people, I think it's ages between 28 and 43. So it's not like when I talk young people, I'm considered old now by my kids. Anyway, there you go. Isn't it funny? I don't feel much older than about 35, to be honest. But anyway, there you go. The ages 28 to 43 millennials, as we go, the proportion of that age group owning real estate has dropped significantly since 2000, from 33 to 25%, and going down. So what's going on? Well, we've got some issues with lending. We've got some issues with prices, where the city has expanded. So some of the challenges have been, when we look at, let's say, if you look at a city and you look at what's going on, often this is where jobs, career, lifestyle, whatever it might be, let's just talk about that. Now, it makes sense that this is where the most expensive real estate is often, and then it gets a bit cheaper when you go out, and then it gets cheaper as you go out, and then further out, as a distance from a centre, it gets a bit cheaper. Now, what's happening is often people don't want to drive, and that was pretty obvious in pre-COVID days. But right now, as you go along, what's happening with these young people? Why aren't they buying property? Because they want to live a lifestyle. They want to be a bit closer, right? So what benefit does that have, folks, for us as investors? That's really the conversation today. What is the piece that we can be thinking about? What's that going to do for our portfolios or our possibilities in the future? Okay, what is happening, right? So let's take a look at that. So if the millennials, this age group between 28 and 43, are not buying property, then what are they doing? Put that in the chat for me. If they're not buying, then what are they? All right, they are renting, right? Renting. So, and for me and for you, what does that millennial want when it comes to the properties that we own and those sorts of things? Now, for the last 3 or 4 years, our rents have gone up significantly, and the millennials have got some very high disposable income. They either don't want to or are choosing not to buy a piece of real estate and be locked down for whatever reason. Chatted to a few of them the other day. They're like, no, I want to, until I settle down or choose a family or something like that, I'm going to rent in interesting places, and then I'm going to travel and have holidays. So what does that mean for us? What types of properties are those millennials looking to rent and have a fun, flexible lifestyle on, which is a good question. They'll pay a premium for good quality real estate. They'll pay a premium for good lifestyle. As you build your property portfolio, maybe some of your properties that are a bit closer to the infrastructure, like this, the jobs, you'll get a premium in the rents as well, all right, as we go along. So the number of total investors is decreasing. Now, if you haven't got into the market, it's only going to get harder and harder and harder as you go forward, because the supply constraints, we've got supply issues, and we've got population growth, all right? So with the supply issues and population growth, the finance can ebb and flow, but for you as a property investor, you've got to think about, all right, if you are starting out, get into it, and if you are already going, then keep going, because it's only going to get harder as we go forward. Yeah. Good question, Tim. Yeah, absolutely. So I like the idea. Tim had a question there. Would getting within 1 hour, but on a larger piece of land, be beneficial to subdivide? Granny flat thoughts? Yes, absolutely. I like the idea, Tim, when we're building our portfolio, you have a mix of benefits in your portfolio, right? So now, when we look at this as a scheme or an idea, you think, all right, well, if I'm closer to town, what benefits do I get? Now, often you've got to, if you have a certain budget, right? a certain budget. Let's say you've got, I don't know, 800K, right, to buy, right? And in most cities at this moment in time, to get a good quality property, a 2 or a 3 bedder, closer to the city where there's jobs, lifestyle, and whatever, you're probably in that sort of $700,000 to $800,000 mark, maybe 600 to 700, but you're around about that. But you're going to be buying an apartment or a unit, right? Now, a lot of people say, oh, you know, apartments don't have land content. Well, they don't, and that actually minimises your land tax long term, by the way. But what do they have? Well, they have the ability, and a bunch of my apartments now I fully furnish, and I'm getting a yield that is far superior than my houses, right? My houses are chipping away at 4% or 5%, where my apartment's fully furnished, 7-8%. One of them's 9% rental yield, right? Which is fantastic. So you can have a higher rental in those apartments. And listen, folks, some of them can be significantly, they can grow significantly. Many of my apartments have doubled in value faster than my houses. But if you think about it, you know, as we move away from the city, you know, for $800,000, you might be able to get yourself a townhouse, you know, a townhouse. Or if you go a bit further, like Tim said, an hour away or whatever it might be, you might be able to get yourself a big piece of land with a house on it, right? So I've got, I think it's fantastic to think about building your portfolio like that. So, you know, in the center of the city today, I was talking about, you know, the millennials and the reduction of their interest or ability to buy, and they're going to rent more. What are they going to be interested in as they grow their families? You know, what type of property will they live in that? It's called the missing middle in Australia. And then further away, you know, will they move away from the city and set up somewhere? Maybe they'll have a hybrid working environment or whatever, and have a bit more land and you know, houses and stuff like that. So I like the idea, Tim, of absolutely having some land that you could subdivide, put a granny flat on, or just have some land value as part of your portfolio for sure. But I'm not one of these, you know, purists that says houses are only the way to go or apartments are only the way to go or whatever. I like a mix, and they all have their own benefits for your portfolio when you balance them up. So there you go. Anyway, I thought that was interesting today. Some stats showing us as investors, if you're not already in, get yourself into the market because it's only getting harder. Folks, that's really what the stats are showing. It's getting harder because the prices are going up, the population is growing, and the supply is constrained. And the government's a bunch of loonies as far as I'm concerned with their policies. You know, the second and third and fifth knock-on effect of decisions they make, you know, they have caused this supply issue way before COVID even came anywhere near us, folks. But anyway, that's for another day. Anyway, that's it from me, folks, today. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. Thanks for jumping on and hanging out today. As always, let me know in the chat if there's something that's on your mind or you see something interesting about investing. Always happy to offer a pontification, an opinion on what I think it means for property investing and property investors. But that's it from me today, folks. The percentage of investors are going down. What does that mean? The rich are getting richer, folks. And those who aren't in the game are being left behind. Are you in? Are you on the train? Are you involved? And if you're not, you should be. Get involved, reach out, get some people on your side to help you out. And if you are, but you haven't reached the destination yet, 3, 4, 5 properties, whatever it is, then keep going, because that's the point of the whole thing. Really, at the end of the day, you want to have some assets that go to work so you don't have to. That's it. That's what money's for. Put it to work, folks. All right, that's it from me, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted for today. All right, take care. See you tomorrow. Join me then. Bye-bye. Another episode of Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing when we go live. Improve your portfolio and investing game, folks, with Wealth Coffee Chats live every morning at 8:10